talking about did you have any premonitions about your before you got your babies? I had the biggest one for Lucy. I had one for
Oh,
my son, but the biggest one was really dramatic. So if I get to talk about that, that'd be cool.
well, we are live, so you are talking about it.
Okay.
Dun-dun-dun. And
No,
that's
you.
just how it works around here when we speak easy with love, and you get three amazing women around any sort of table to share how we feel and talk about what it feels like to be a mama these days. My name is Joanna Trelove, and I'm so grateful to share this space with two other beautiful goddesses. And I think we might have one more treat surprising us a little bit later. So I'm going to keep that under wraps until she shows face. But otherwise, I'm going to turn the light into this inner circle so that we can share some intimate spaces of motherhood and talk about some of those broken open moments and how it is being an intuitive teacher, healer, coach, and mentor, and being a mom. Because as we know, we could very well integrate those spaces, but how often does it truly happen? And when it does, what does that feel like? So go ahead, and I'm going to lean over to the left. And is there anyone to my left? No, to the right.
Oh, yeah.
And let one of you two step forward and introduce yourselves.
Well, I guess I'll go because I'm to your right.
Yes, yes.
Hey, good, Trina.
Hi, so I'm Trina. I am an intuitive abstract artist. I am also a health coach and an art therapist. And my intuition started a long time ago before I even realized what intuitive meant. And, I just thought it was part of being a mom. But the reality is, it went even further before being a mom, but I just didn't know what it was. And the interesting part about it is that my son knew what it was before I did.
Oh, wow.
And he kept talking about it and telling me all these different things. And, I just thought he was a little, off his rocker a little bit. But years later, learning about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, he was right. All the stuff that he was trying to teach me became apparent. I opened my eyes and I was able to see it. So it's pretty cool.
So your son sort of awakened you to the power and strength of your intuition.
Wow.
That's awesome. And that is really cool because, as we all know, those awakening moments really attune our powers in ways that I don't think any of us are prepared for. And it isn't until the aftermath when we realize the intensity of what our channeling can be and what our intuition can provide us. And as we come together in this space, we welcome another healer and teacher and coach and mentor to our circle. And that's the beauty of coming into this space, is to share how we have used some of our intuition and our energy healing to transmute that space as a mom for our own right and for them. So we were just introducing Trina. Thank you so much for sharing that story with us. Debbie, why don't you share a bit of your light and tell us a bit about you?
Hi, Debbie McKee. I'm a crystal energy healer is what I call myself. I'm a energy healer on a really deep level, multidimensional, and gets into some really wild spaces. And you can heal people energetically, emotionally, anything physical. I say other than smoking. And I've been doing this full time for quite a while now, over 20 years, 25 years. And I was a designer for like almost 30 years in the fashion world. So that was really crazy life, but I'm glad that's done. But what I do now, it's it's really powerful and really fun, and I get to see people change like instantly. So that's magnificent. I love what I get to do now. So yeah. But I'm a
Very
mama. I have a daughter, 21, and a son, 33. And I was talking to Trina earlier. I have quite a few stepchildren, too. So I've been a mama. It seems like forever.
wow.
But now
Trina,
it's
how many children, Trina, do you have? Tell us real quick.
I have two. I have a daughter who's 26 and a son that's 25. And they have a sister who is 28 and a little brother who is, I think, 11 or 12.
Wow.
So, although they're not my children, I still embrace them
Yeah,
when
yeah,
I'm around them.
right. So you have two, and Debbie, you have three?
yeah, I had two the first time, and then one. I had a stepdaughter the same age as my son, and then that's been unusual now as she's grown up, got married, and has a baby, and now my daughter gets to embrace her baby, and it's
Yeah.
really helping with her growing up as a woman now, and that's really fun to watch. And plus, my stepdaughter looks so much like my daughter. It's
Isn't that something?
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then I had this conversation with her mom once, and we have like some relatives in our trees that are
What?
yeah,
See, that's where I can't wait to start unpeeling this. So I
that
have
was fun with
three.
the ex-husband. He's like, no,
Yeah.
no,
I
I
have,
can't talk about that.
did I just say I had three? I have four. I have 23, 22, 19 tomorrow. I have a Mother's Day baby, and then 15. And then I have an amazing life partner that has two. And so I got two bonus babies that have come into my life and really were part of my life before he was. I met him through these babies.
Oh, I
So
didn't know that.
our blended family has been integrated for almost 15 years.
Oh, wow. So
And
that's why it's
yeah,
long. Okay. All
yeah,
right.
it's really cool. And it's, the synergy of children is beautiful. It can be really massive.
Right.
Alessandra, go ahead and share with us a little bit about you and how many children you have.
Okay, so my name is Alessandra Solari. And it's funny enough because I chose to go by my mother's last name.
Ah,
One to honor her and her legacy because the Italian side came so strongly to me more than the
yeah.
Chilean side. So I celebrate what she was about and her incredibly beautiful aesthetics that she created always. She's been gone for over 30 years. And so I had her for a short period of time, but she gave me such a strong legacy that I decided to celebrate her by saying Alessandra Solari instead of my father's last name.
Beautiful.
Which to a Chilean man, that was
That is
not a very easy thing to accept, but he has evolved so much that he understood eventually. I am a therapist, but I am also a holistic counselor, teacher, and founder of an organization that I have downloaded a series of platforms that are about wisdom that I'm supposed to teach in this way in this lifetime. And it's been this way for a multitude of years in my life. And I'm happy to say that now I'm dedicated to the branch out of this tree of platforms of wisdom for women that I call Queen by Tree of Gold, celebrating women around the world for being amazing, as we all are as women, and to reflect their amazingness in this highest reflection. So right now I'm creating a multitude of things. I'm also designing. I have a jewelry line that I'm designing and furniture that I'm designing because I had none when I came to this country a year.
Awesome.
So it's basically out of need that I really started to design, and the pandemic didn't allow me to buy. So it was very interesting. Instead, I decided to create.
Yeah.
So
I think everyone on this screen, I think that is the common denominator of everyone that you are with right now is that we chose to be limitless instead of limited this year, no matter where we were and what we were going through. And I really appreciate you sharing that. That's well said.
We chose to
Well
be
said.
limitless. I
Yeah, well said.
love that. I said the other day, I was explaining to someone because these younger women are studying with me here, and two of them, no COVID, came to my place and said, "Well, where's the stuff? Your house looks like a, I don't know, it looks like it's so organized. Where's the stuff?" I said, "I let go of stuff a long time ago." She said, "I can't believe you don't have stuff." So I told her that when all you own is colors, because I have a lot of colors, in my house through the art and paintings that we're doing, your life becomes a painting. You start
Yeah.
creating what you like instead of having things that you need to carry with you.
Oh, I
Yeah.
know you're speaking to my Trina's heart right now.
Yeah.
Yes, that is so
So lovely,
good.
Trina. It's
That is the
beautiful.
best cup of coffee ever. This is why I love you guys so much. How
Oh,
many babies do you have, Alessandra?
So I had four initially. I had a son that died, and when he lasted a day, he was born prematurely. So I
Oh,
used
wow.
to not mention him. I used to just say, "Oh, I have my three daughters."
Yeah.
And in the last couple of years, I've decided to heal more about that loss and to honor him because he was such an amazing teacher to me and still is every day of my life. So in celebrating him, I have to say that I have four, one in
Absolutely.
spirit and three in this physical realm. So today is my oldest daughter, Isabella. She's turning 32. So I have a Mother's Day, almost a Mother's Day.
My daughter's birthday is tomorrow.
That's crazy because
It's awesome.
it's so awesome on one side and so conflicting on another,
It's like, it's my day. Yeah.
right?
We definitely qualify as being a Mother's Day celebrant when you have a baby on Mother's Day.
Absolutely, especially when she was, 9.5-pound child.
Oh my
Ooh.
God.
So
Big.
big
Oh
child.
my gosh.
I had an
And
8'11". I thought that was big.
a
Oh,
what? An 8'11"? No, mine was 9.5, and I at that point I was a size 4, so I don't know
How did
how
that?
it's going to be.
Were all of your babies that in big in size?
I decided, Joanna, that I would not be able to do that. So with each baby, I had two more after her, and I just was so contained with my weight because I was
Right.
so scared to go through that experience again, which
Yeah.
is we don't speak enough about births and the trauma of birth and everything that happens to us.
It's so true. I work now as a doula, and yeah, it's
I forget that.
here's what I can tell you is that everything that I ever saw prior to my work as a doula and everything that I ever thought happened in a birth, it's not
Right?
true. It's not
No.
true.
Mhm.
I know for a fact it's not true because I've yet to have a birth that was crazy and dramatic and all these things. I mean, I've watched moms literally take a breath in and then breathe out and the baby comes out.
Ah,
Wow.
Right. And that is the difference between using what we do and
Mhm.
helping someone create that sweet, sacred space to birth from.
Absolutely.
And what a difference that makes. I mean, even if it's a long birth that's 30 plus hours, mom and baby are meditating the whole time. They're not in crisis. They're not scared. They're not all over the place. They're very grounded.
Huh.
And it's just totally different. So yeah, I even think that, when we can use our energy to create massive intention, profound things can happen, and it changes the way I believe babies are coming into the world today. And as we all know, the way that we come in the world really sets the tone for how we, appreciate in time.
So I have a little tiny story that I'd like to share with you about that.
Yeah, please do.
After giving birth to my son prematurely, I had to get what's called a cerclage with each pregnancy to be sewn up. So my
Okay.
cervix
Wow.
wouldn't have- well, anyway,
Wow.
So when by the time I had my third, which by then, you know, I was 39 years old, and everything gets a little more rigid.
No.
I couldn't have, you know, a natural birth at home or the things that I wanted to. So I had to be very clinical in the medical hospital. So my doctor, which was an amazing man, he decided to teach another doctor with me, a guinea pig, double stitch the situation.
Yeah.
And the whole time it was very vulnerable, you know, and he is bragging to this other male doctor, look at what happens and how this is. Well, it turns out, long story short, that it became too rigid, the part that was sewn. And when it came time to give birth, he said, I'm sorry, Alessandra, but this is now stuck. And I said, no, 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 you don't understand. This isn't going to happen to me. I'm not going through this and now a cesarean. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my abilities to free the string. It was like this big that was stuck. He said, you can't do that. You cannot do that. In the medical world, that is
So
a
freaking
possibility.
rad. Yes.
You would have been hung in the 1500s for being a
I have chills everywhere, all over my body. I'm so excited. Can you tell us what happened? Tell what happened.
Breathing, and imagining surrendering the string, not the baby, the string. I was giving this whole birth to the string. And he said, I give you half an hour because I had been in labor so long. I give you half an hour. Okay. In half an hour, boom, it's ready. She comes out and he said, I cannot believe this. This is an impossibility. This is a clinical impossibility. He goes, I don't know what you did with that piece of string, but I will see it when someday it comes out. If your body didn't absorb it, it's another way. I said, okay. Not even a week later, it came, and I took it to him, and I said, look at, and he just could not believe. I became like the talk of the Cerclage in San Diego because of
Awesome.
So that's how we are as these entities of energy in this physical platform of fertile ground, you know?
Yeah. And that's what it feels like as a doula today, working with many moms that are not in tune with their powers, but get their attunement during birth. It's such an awakening for them. And, you know, most of them, I at least have one moment where their eyes are closed and I have to say, hey, and they'll open their eyes. I'm like, look at me. And that's when I'm just like, you got this. And I swear to goodness, as soon as that moment happens, they're like, whoom. They are so empowered. They are so like, it is such a game changer in every birth. But there's that moment, just like you're describing, when you know that it's not possible, or you understand the possibilities of things going in a different direction, and you take your power back. And that is what I love about being a doula the most, is that moment when I can be with a woman and see and feel her channel her own personal power and birth her baby. It's
what
tremendous.
A beautiful gift that is.
Oh my gosh.
Really beautiful.
You know, as you say, I just do what I'm asked to do and hold space for that. But you know, just like you're expressing, miracles happen in birth all the time.
Yeah.
And the impossible is possible. It's beautiful.
We are magical creatures. I had my neighbor, she's really young, and she's like, you know, I just realized my husband he's so simply so easy. He does this, this, and this, and I'm all of this. I'm like, girl, we can create a human out of us. We are better. We're magical. And she's like, oh. I'm like, you'll see.
Blessed are the men that know this, right? The men that truly
bless the men that know this. Yeah. So
For
how
sure.
is it that each of you have been able to channel and receive your gifts while being a mother? How has that worked for you, and how has that worked against you, and how has that created you know, some life experiences that maybe you'd like to share? Debbie, how about you? What do you think
Yeah,
about?
I'm busting over here. I got some stories. My daughter was like I say, my transition between being a designer and opening up my healing skills. Because I left California and moved to Colorado. I took my son, we packed up our goodies, we moved up in this tiny little cabin at almost 9,000 feet. And I get vision so much easier at high altitude. So I'm always hiking to the highest point in every city. But I had a
It's
real
funny
clear
you say
vision.
that. So you receive at high altitude.
Yeah,
That's
it's
beautiful.
like
I receive on the edge, like on the edge of the world, the closest edge of land to water.
oh yeah, there you go. It's
Yeah, so
clearer.
I
I think it's
understand
because
what you mean by that.
less interception of Wi-Fi and stuff too.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Okay, so
But
you're at the highest point.
I got 3 nights in a row. I got this vision of this bossy little girl who was like 6, 7 years old with her hands on her hips, going, "I'm ready. Where are you? I'm ready." It was like, uh, and then that weekend I met my husband, and I just like poof, just hit me. And I looked at was something about his feet. He had really pretty hands and feet, and I looked at his feet. I'm like, oh, he's gonna get me pregnant. And I was like, and I went on the pill like in a week, just in case.
But it was too late.
Yeah. Anyway, but she is exactly that. She's a really strong, beautiful blonde Virgo. Boom, So she's definitely came in really beautifully like that. But when she was teeny tiny, she learned how to talk really, really early at 4 and 5 months. And I was teaching her all this sign language, and then she was putting together like 5 of them, making them sentences. And then she was pissed that nobody could understand what she was saying. It was funny. But by the time she was a year old, she'd wake up on the floor by my bed and tell me these stories. Mama, remember we lived in Triangle Tan House. We were tan. Everything was tan. Like we lived in a teepee is what she was telling us. And remember, so she would come and tell me all these past life stories, and she wasn't getting it from TV. We only had like 2 stations because we lived up in the mountains, and it was all these past life stories. So she's the one who really flipped my switch as far as going deeper, and
how old were you then?
I had her at 37, so 38.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
39.
Yeah.
And at that high altitude, and she really opened up all these other levels that I was up against that I didn't quite fully go in on. But the past life stuff is like so real, especially when you have your little babies tell you all that jazz. And there's that thing they call a 7-year veil, where your kids will just tell you everything, like heaven's right there, and they tell you everything of what's going on in between. And if you've been brought up really strict, people like, oh honey, go outside and play, but if you listen, I wrote it all down, and if you listen, you can learn a lot from when they're that age,
Well, and it's amazing because that you really transcend a lot of that for people in your work today.
Yes. Yes, that's a fabulous part. But yeah, my little Lulu, she taught me a lot in those early years, because then as the years went on, those stories started to fade, but a couple of them stuck, as far as like about her dad, because we had 2 lives together. And like this one story, she'd say, Mama, we were in the wooden car and Daddy left me fall in the mud and left me there. She was like so mad. He left me in the mud, like a wooden cart vehicle, and like a muddy street because it was before pavement. And so she was.
So this was a past life story.
Yeah. And so we were in our breakup. So like I'd say, oh, he broke my heart. I didn't say anything negative to him, but she was like, why aren't we getting back together? And I'd say, well, he broke my heart. So she used to think he literally, like broke my heart in 2 pieces, and bad daddy, but those couple stories stuck. So I think they've really worked that stuff out the past 20 years of those things that she didn't trust him, but they're really close. We're not together, but they're very close now still. So.
Yeah. That's amazing.
To me.
Wow.
Yeah. And how does she use that energy now? Is she still aware of what she was able to share?
Yeah, as far as like being a healer and being a mom, like I used to drag her. I've always taught classes, and I would drag her to all my crystal classes, and she would be under the table drawing, making clay things. And
Yeah.
But she'd be quiet the whole time, and then it'd be right in the middle of a class, heavy topics, and she would just lob a question or answer right in the middle of the topic, right in sync with what was going on, And so she understands all of it. When she was super tiny, she could, even before she could talk, she would pick up a crystal and go and reach up to a customer and go, and they're just looking at her like,
Yeah.
or she took a bag of runes with, like she picked up all of that stuff. She understands. She could probably teach my classes, but now, and then in high school, it was like, oh no, I don't want to talk about that. But her friends wanted to know all about crystals, all that, and I'm still friends with a lot of those girls now, on Instagram and stuff. But she's opening up now that she's 21, going on 22, and has her own little house. She's opening up as a woman and growing as a woman and starting to realize, like, yeah, this client of mine came in and I knew they were coming in, so she's starting to unfold. It's cool.
No, and that's such a great age for that opening and that unfolding. I had Debbie come to the house and lead a goddess circle for my daughter's farewell to college. And she had all of her girlfriends. Yeah, she had all of her girlfriends. So we had about 10 or 12 young ladies come in. And they were all kind of like, Mama Jo, what are we doing? What are we doing? And I'm like, and there was pillows all in a big circle and the lights were down. And some of them were like, yeah, and then the others were a little skeptic. But by the end of the night, they had crystals on their heads and they were learning how to pendulum and clear, and still to this day, they'll reach out and ask me questions. And what I really love is my daughter took all of her crystals to school.
Yay!
And she clears her room out, and
nice.
She found a crystal shop in the little town that she lives. And she really, she still can't figure out her tarot cards. She's still, trying to figure those out. But I lead less on that because I feel like that's something that she'll discover more in time with, each little attunement that she has as life opens her.
Yeah.
But even just last night, she was having some pre-birthday awakenings and was getting cracked open a little bit and feeling a little emotional, and just knowing that I can speak that language to her and say it on even a higher level, to, put her stuff in a container and take control of things rather than let her trauma take control of her, and help her transmute energy in ways that help her step into empowerment. And some of the things I say to her are very intuitive and they're very downloaded information. And I used to be like, is that too much? Is she going to freak out? And now I'm like, no, she's an open vessel. Go, just give. And she's receiving so much. And it's so cool to see. And my 15-year-old, she's got it. I think like you had said, she broke her first heart chakra crystal bowl at 2 years old. I was with a client in one room working on someone, and she was playing the crystal bowl and just playing it. And I was letting her have fun with it. I mean, it's a heart chakra bowl. I never thought in a million years there could be a problem. And she came into me and she says, sorry, Mama, sorry. Sorry for what? And I went in there and she had really knocked it good and hard and it broke. So she broke open her heart at 2 years old. But she's really in tune and she's very powerful, I think, as a result of that. And my boys too, they'll say to me, they'll ask now, Mom, can you work on me? Can you do a little, can you put your hands over my ears? Can you, can you work on me? So I love that. I've worked on all of my kids their whole life, and it's a beautiful thing to share, I think, as a mother. It's way more healing, I think, than any other talk track or conversation. My middle boy, he was diagnosed with high functioning autism called Asperger's at about 12 years old. So between like 12 and 17, he was in crisis a lot. And I had to learn how to do a lot of different behavioral interventions. And sometimes when he would get in a crisis, he would elope, which means run. And sometimes I would have to put him in restraints, which is a forward bend hold, and rock him back and forth until he would de-escalate.
Calm down.
And, there was a system in my house. One of my kiddos would get the candles and the essential oils. Another one would shut the lights off and turn on crystal bowls. And, everyone would go find something to do while we got Dustin, grounded and into space. And, of all of those years, that energy work was what was attuning him and grounding him, I think, into spaces and places that I can't wait to see unfold as he becomes. He's 22 now, and I think that's a magical year.
Nice.
Mhm.
I had a
Wow.
stepdaughter that was she hadn't been diagnosed. I received her. She was like 7. She was at and I would have her like all summer, every vacation they were always at our house. And she was 7 and she hadn't been diagnosed on anything. But I knew it because she could be so far out on some things and completely shut off from everyone for so long. And we started getting her tested. Turned out she had all these hearing disabilities and stuff, but she
Yeah.
was the one
Yeah.
who really
Well,
stuck to me the longest because I got through to her, and
yeah.
they have that different
You
energy
get through them
level.
Yeah.
energetically. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I went and spoke to someone about it, and, learning that, like, they said, like, my oldest Riley, he was a prisoner in past lives and went through massive abuse and was locked in cages. So it's really important for him in this life to be
To be
free
free.
and have the freedom to make his own decisions. And I learned from Dustin that he's from the future. And so it's really hard for him to just be grounded in what's happening now because he's already been here and he knows this.
Mhm.
And so he's really bored and over it. And then they tell me that Bella has been traveling with me for years and years and years. And that's why it's so easy for her to always just be with me because she's always just been with me. She's gone with me from life. And then they say with my baby Gia that you've also tuned right into this, Debbie, that she's, big energy and fame and her energy reaches out big and far. And
Yeah.
so
Her
when she's
creativity is
contained,
massive. Yeah.
she's so frustrated,
Yeah, she's like, I want it now. Yeah.
yeah. So just, I think having that understanding is as far as where I am in this place and time and where they've been, and understanding how to communicate through those realms. It's been huge. It's been really huge as a mom for me.
You develop a lot as a woman.
Yeah.
When I was a designer, I was like, I wore black and white and denim and that was it. But when I had my daughter, all of a sudden I discovered color and I started appreciating myself as a
brought that
woman
out in
and
you.
a goddess. I didn't have any of that before. It changed so much and then the stuff I've learned from her. It's like, I don't know about you girls, but it's like a daughter you develop in a different way than with a boy. You just do.
Yeah.
I've always said that when we have a child, we get a new set of eyes because we get to not only see from our lenses, but we see through theirs.
Yeah.
So, Trina, what would you say through your children, the new set of eyes that you got to see out of?
Well, I was a young mom. I was pregnant at 19 and had my daughter at 20. And then 15 months later, I had my son. Yeah. So
That's how I am with my boys, 12 months apart.
Yeah. It was a blessing and a curse because I was so young and not really in tuned and mature. It wasn't until later that, now looking back, seeing the things that happened and occurred and if I would have just been more awake, then that intuition could have been driven differently. But I will say that I had that intuition and I've always felt the energy, especially in the palms of my hands. and just didn't know what it was.
Mhm.
My kids loved for me to touch them. So I was doing Reiki for a long time, not really knowing what it was. But I have to say, I have to share this story, and I don't know if it was that inner self or an angel. Um, when my daughter, oh goodness, she may have been 10, and it was her dad, me, her, my son, and my dad. We were at a restaurant, and we walked out to go out to the car, and she stepped out off of the curb and then just like bounced back, and a car came. If she wouldn't have bounced back, she would have been hit by a car.
Mhm.
But what's crazy is we were like, what the heck just happened? Like, how? I mean, it was a force.
So yeah, Angel, full on then.
Angel
Yeah.
for sure. I just got the chills.
Me
Yeah,
too.
I mean, we all felt that, right? That was Angel.
So she turned around and looked at us, and she looked at me. She's like, Mom, why did you yank me so hard?
Oh,
And I'm like,
Oh, she thought it was you. That was Mother Earth. Woo!
yeah. And I was like,
Awesome.
I didn't touch you. So later, we were getting them ready for bed, and she had marks on her,
what
like
kind of marks?
almost like a fingerprint type. There were only 3, and it was like somebody had grabbed her to pull, when they pulled her back. So
When
such
you put your hand
force.
on it, when you put your hand on the bruises, what did it feel like? Did it have another sensation? Do you remember?
I don't remember. Again,
Too
I
long ago.
wasn't as in tuned, to
Yeah.
my intuition.
Mm.
I had felt that it was an angel,
Yeah.
but again, I was still young. That I would have been, I don't know, in my mid-20s, maybe
Yeah.
at that point, mid to late 20s. So we had that experience.
Ah, cool.
Then, and actually before that occurrence, my son was 2, I believe it was, and we lived in this old home, and there was no AC. It was hot. It was actually here in Iowa where I'm at, and it does get really hot in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And the landlord, the only way, we had to keep the windows open. Well, the landlord didn't have screens on the windows. And we had just had it with that landlord. So we were actually getting ready to move out. And I had the window just propped up just a little bit. And I went into the kitchen to go get the kids something to drink. And I hear this faint cry. And I'm like, man, what's wrong with that kid? Some kid is just really crying. Like, what is
No, he's in the
going
window.
on?
Oh.
So I go back in the living room, and I'm looking, and I don't see my son, and I hear this cry. So I look out the window. I'm looking like straight out, out to see where in the world this crying is coming from. And I look down. We were 3 stories high. He had fallen out of the window and landed.
Your son did?
My son did.
Oh,
But he landed in a bed of leaves and twigs. All around was concrete and broken glass.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
You might be protected a little bit.
Yeah. Just
I'll get those too. We come in with 2.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've had
Wow.
we've had occurrences here and there like that. But those were the 2 main events that, have just stuck.
Yeah.
And they'll both talk about it, they're aware of it. So
Yeah,
it's great for them to be able to. I would say my son definitely is more in tuned. In fact, he called me a couple nights ago in the middle of the night, and he's like, Mama, are you okay? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I just had this feeling
Awesome.
something's not right. And him and I are close, like connected energy level. You know, we usually can sense when something is off or not
Yeah.
right, or, you know, I can sense when he's down or whatever. My daughter still, you know, she's not as quiet, but she still does have a little bit of intuition.
Well, and she's a young mom as well. So
Yes.
she's really giving. And that's the thing I think sometimes, and ladies, let me know if you can agree, when we have littles, our energy is so exhausted. We're giving so much of our focus that we're not honing into our channeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
so
I
that
think
might be what's
that's
going on for her. You know, she's just in
definitely
it.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Right. And I had the two back to back. And so I think that's why I was there, but I just didn't know, you know, it
Yeah.
just, because you're right. You're just so exhausted and drained.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I will now, I'm a magnet, like, to animals and little kids, and you know, he'll come up and I'll do some Reiki on him, and on his head, and you know, just where I feel the energy
Mhm.
is needed. But it's just that, you know, a little bit at a time.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Mhm.
and that mama bear love goes a long way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Alessandra, how have you been able
Congratulations on being a grandmother, by the way.
Yeah,
Oh,
really.
yes, he's so much fun.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. Mm.
Me too.
My daughters are like, you need to wait a little longer. Calm it down.
No
Yeah.
rush. No rush.
Um, I mean, a little bit of all the stories, I think, but if I can sort of tell you something that is inspiring, or with each one, it was such a different time in my life. I think I was different women with each birth. And there was
That's what I
there
was
was a, right? There's a part
Yeah.
of, I think, my womanhood that was born with each child. And that part that was born with each child sort of had a different determination for life. But one of the things that I think my walk in this life as what my soul's chosen to be has been complicated in this way, that I always beat to a very passionate heart inside of me. So having babies was part of my passion, but then being a mother was never who I really wanted to be, a parent. I didn't want to be a parent. I wanted to be
Not
an
that easy, huh?
to my children.
Yeah.
You know, I just couldn't identify with, I've got to do this, and it wasn't for me. And a lot of the friends that were having babies at the same time as I was, they were very regimented and scheduled and modeled after their families. And
I was too. It's for the birds. Yeah.
right? I was what I thought was the weird bird that just did whatever came with. I grabbed my baby and just went.
Yeah,
And
me
so-
too.
Well, yeah, you know what? I was always on a beach someplace building forts with my kids in my bikini. And, you know, I would take off for the whole day, sometimes days. And people were like, how do you do that? And I'm like, I can't stay constricted in all these schedules. It drives me
Right.
crazy.
Mhm.
No
Absolutely.
corporate. No corporate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's so true what you're saying.
For me, and then the different cultures, because I would either have the culture here in Chile when I would come with my kids, or the culture in Italy, which was a different culture. And so I was awed in each one of those scenarios, because in each one they had their own convictions about what it was to be a mother.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I never fit into any one. And so at the beginning, maybe when I was really, because I had my daughter when I was 28. By then I knew enough to just say, no, I have to do this my way. And so my kid would sleep on me if I was at a beach and everybody else left to make their kids nap, you know, or I would want them to experience things that I was experiencing. There was a point in San Diego that, remember when San Diego had no downtown?
Yeah.
1981, or do you
No.
remember at
Yeah. There was
all?
just a couple ships, and that was it. Yeah.
It was
Oh,
ships,
okay.
it was homeless, and it
Homeless.
was
It was scary.
prostitute.
Yeah.
It was scary.
Yeah.
Well, there were all these incredible buildings downtown that nobody used anymore. They were old warehouses like the Carnation building, Debbie, if you remember, and all these buildings. And I decided to create a production company to exhibit art down there because I thought, are you kidding me? This is opportunity, and this city needs some art and culture.
So you started the Lantern District to be cool.
I kind of did with a whole bunch of other people, yes.
Nice.
Wow.
But it was not meant to be the Lantern District that is now with the stadium and the stuff. It was meant to be really cultural with art. And so the last show we had at the Cully Warehouse, that was like on 11th Street, and there was hardly anything. We had 1,000 people there. And my girls were small. I didn't even have my oldest. As a matter of fact, I had to quit that when I became pregnant with my youngest, daughter, because I couldn't do both, So it was wonderful because my kids got to participate. And today, as women, they tell me, Mom, there was not even a dull moment. You presented us with so much culture and opportunity.
Wow.
Dragging them around.
Right? And I did. And I honestly, it didn't come from even that intention. It was just never losing my own passion. And part of that passion was always guided by my spirituality. That was this conduit of light. And that conduit of light just kept me sane in all the horrific lessons of life, And so I kept beating to that same passion. And still today, I'm still beating to that same passion itself. And I think that's the best sort of gift I've been able to give my children and other young women out there that look at parenting like, oh, a bore, a chore. We're always going to be tired. I don't want to give, oh, wait, you don't have to be that way,
Yeah.
But I wanted to tell you guys a little tiny story, a spiritual story, actually, that did occur to me. So my mom and I were like you, Joanna, and your youngest, or the one that's always traveled with you. You're probably 15-year-old. I can't remember which one you said.
That's the one that's turning birthday tomorrow.
Yes, her. So I feel that about my mother and I. My mother, when I was little, I used to, before seatbelts, I used to sit in the middle of my mom and put my head against her breast. And I love that, traveling like that with her. And she, I would tell her, Mommy, do you remember when I was your mommy? I mean, it was a constant. And then
Lucy used to say that stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Right? And so we were extremely close. And then I had my two oldest daughters. I was so happy with just two. And I started dreaming with my mom with a baby. And she had already passed away. So she's trying to give me this baby. And I'm like, no, I don't want anymore. No. One last dream. She says, if you don't take this baby, it's going to foster care. And I was like, well, I don't want it to go to foster care. I'll take it. I wasn't planning on getting pregnant. I was taking every precaution. I get pregnant. In a very unusual kind of, because I was taking precautions. I'm pregnant. And I'm 39 years old. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? My life is going to be so different from now on, right? Well, when she's born and we have, she starts to talk and she starts to, comment to me. One day she's sitting down and she's looking at me. Her name is Stella Luna. My mother's name was Estrella, right? And I named her
beautiful.
Nice.
And she said, Mommy, do you remember when you used to say that you were my mommy, but in another time? And I was, and no matter how much you're connected to spirit,
Right?
It still will spook
Oh,
you. Yeah. Like,
And then she said to me, we should have kissed and gone together.
Ooh.
And I said, no, I couldn't go because then I couldn't be here for you again. So we know that Stella has partly Stella in her, my other Stella.
Your mommy.
And she is so much like my mother. And she and I just have this union where we can look at each other and we just know each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Nice.
I love that story because my mom forced herself on me again. This is how I like to look at it. She
Yeah, and that's
Wow.
beautiful. Yeah,
to let
because
her
that's
come
a
in.
reoccurring energy in your life. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Thank
You know, I think the beauty of understanding our power and our essence and welcoming these truths without fear
Yeah.
is that it opens us to such a deeper and more profound understanding with ourselves and with our children. And you know, I know fully how free I am in life and how I have the ability to do whatever I want whenever I want. I fully understand that possibility. And with that being said, I also know that there are 4 people in my life that I regulate everything I do, and it's my children.
Yeah.
And it never feels like a burden. It never feels like a sacrifice. It never feels like anything controlled or limited. Um, but I know that everything I do and I choose is based on how that is going to influence or change or catalyst or compote. And I think I hear that with all of us. You know, we really attune with our children and almost become more because of them, and receive so much deeper through them. And that's a really beautiful and blessed energy. And I know that it took me, you know, a long time for me to step into that space. But having that now, I feel like I'm a different kind of mom than I even was then. And to understand the power and the ability to have that exchange and to share those gifts with our children is really beautiful, because it's more than just birthing the love of being a mom and having, you know, giving them that life, right? But to know that as we birth that love and as we bring these miracles through our bodies, we're also, as we are attuning and we are becoming, we're also, I believe, giving that energy to and through them too. I heard once that when they turn 18, they leave our aura. You know, they sort of dispel and detached. I don't know. Do you agree with that,
No,
or do you feel like they always stay?
when my daughter got in high school, it was rough, man. From freshman year through high school, they were just because they're trying to bust out and be their own self and find out
Yes.
who they are, and you're just like, I was going through menopause. She's like going,
Yeah, that's hard.
it was gnarly, and
I
then
agree. Totally agree.
now we are getting closer as if she was just a bitty little thing, you know, just a bitty
Yeah.
baby when they're right there. And so that is really exciting, you know. My son's gone through many different layers, and he during the whole when the pandemic first started, he's 33 and he's in the fashion industry, which is, you know, 8 days a week. So he was finally got to rest. Finally got to rest for like a couple months, and then he called me every week, and these calls were getting like longer and longer until we did like an 8-hour FaceTime once. But we
Wow.
covered a lot of territory. We got to like, we just got so close again. So you never know what's going to, and right now I haven't seen him at all. I haven't seen him at all. So since a Christmas ago, and he's just in LA, but it's intense up there. So I'm hoping he's gonna maybe show up tomorrow.
LA is very intense. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Your boy's in LA, right? One of your boys is
Yep.
in LA?
I have one. And that's just it. We have Mother's Day tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how does that feel for each of you? And whether you see your children or not, what does Mother's Day mean to you? What does that feel like?
Well, I'll say one more thing about Mama's Day, though. Hopefully I'll see my boy, but I probably won't. So it's just going to be my daughter and I. We're going to tromp around and do a bunch of little fun things. But I also, I don't know if who's been a single mom when they've been a mom, but I get Father's Day too. I claim Father's Day, so
That's
you're
good.
gonna have it too,
I
right?
just recently in the last couple of years did too. And I'm like, wow, this is really cool.
Because they've both finally said, "Well, Mom, you've been a better dad than Dad." You know?
Yep.
So
Yep. Yep.
I know they're not watching me. I can say that. But yeah, I don't know. You girls wear that one too. Okay.
Trina, you go first. I'll go last.
Well, my son is in Germany. He's in the military. But he did actually just try to message me. So he knows that I'm on on the show. He could be watching because he enjoys all of this. And then my daughter's still in Georgia. I'm sure she called me this morning already. So I'm sure I'll talk to her FaceTime tomorrow. And my mom is in North Carolina. But one thing that is special, I'm in Iowa right now, and I'm getting to spend the day with my bonus mom.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I haven't had a Mother's Day with her in many, many years. And so I know that it's something special for her that I'm here. And we actually went to her church Thursday night for a mother-daughter banquet that she hasn't gone to. Maybe we went when I was in high school, but
Awesome.
you know, it's been a long time. So it's just something special
Get to
for
open it
me
up.
to be able to be there for her
Yeah.
as my bonus mom. Yeah.
That's beautiful. It seems like all the other people that are gone are giving space for you too to have this
Mhm.
moment, this dance of love, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Probably right on the money with everything that's transitioning. So it's so
Yes.
wonderful how life occurs that way. Well, a couple of years ago, my daughters decided without me that it was time to start celebrating more maturely. Everything from
What does that mean?
every,
Yeah, that sounds fun.
every holiday,
Like,
every holiday to every birthday to everything. They decided to, one went vegan, the other one became different consciousness and so on. And so they all decided, look, what we celebrate the most in this family is an everyday love because we're in love with each other. Like we are all so close. And so Mother's Day this year, because I've been away for so long physically from the US, over a year is a long time without seeing my children, seeing my daughters, as I've told you guys before. But I have grown a new kind of mentality. It's so lovely to sit back in my own sanctuary, in my calmness with my husband, and just look at the ocean that we have for front yard and come back and speak with my daughters, get their love, because they miss me, they love me more, I love them. And then we're all just go on our merry way without the anxiety of the whole family together and their dynamics and what could happen. One gets mad, the other one's not getting.
The
And everyone's
commercialization of it
attention.
too.
The commercialization does a number on us, huh?
Yeah.
Absolutely. When you're outside of it and you're just living the true love affair and there's nothing else, I don't need a present, we just tell each other how we feel, we commune.
Connect. So true.
It has shifted my fulfillment.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the insides versus the outside. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh,
So if
yeah.
I plant tomorrow a flower in a pot, that's a great celebration for me.
Yeah.
I already have the love and the communion and the connection, the real connection from woman to these women, and just I feel it's a really good time for me in this moment to just be at ease in all those ways with not a lot of conditioning that
Right. Well, and you say it best. There's some sort of a transfer that would like to take place in energy and carrying on what was being in the form of anxiety and pressure and commercialization, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so to choose to make it what we want to feel it, and then to truly allow ourselves to receive that is pretty awesome. I felt all of everything that you described going into the last, week or so. And when I relaxed into what the plan would be and how I was going to spend this weekend. And it became about just spending some quality time doing some
Mhm.
other daughter projects and being home. And I thought, this is exactly what I want to do. Yes,
Right?
yes,
Play.
yes. This feels good. And it's such a difference in fulfillment. And it's not fulfilling what we think we need,
Yeah.
Mhm.
what we have to do, but what we want to receive, and being really at peace and content in that space of knowing. And wow, that today, here and now, feels so good. And just knowing that I don't have the pressure of having to do, but rather can be.
Yeah.
Feels
Amen to
good.
that. That is a wonderful, wonderful existence when we can stay in that conscious, choice. I wanted to share something with you guys. If you give me just a moment, that keeps on coming in, like
Yeah.
knocking on the door, please share this with them.
Oh,
And
this is going to be good.
it's an experience as a helper to women that I have encountered now for the last 3 years that is really becoming an obvious thing to me. I was asked a while ago to help women with fertility problems, and they had had so many rounds of IVF and everything you can imagine, and just suffered so many things. And one of the things that I have discovered through that process is that many of them that were bringing in male children, had severe issues with the male energy. Severe, to the point where they subconsciously and superconsciously did not accept this energy inside of them, because they
The
were
divine
going
feminine.
to transmute with it. And it's incredible.
The energy, are you
The
speaking?
hormone shots, you think?
No, when they had everything, they had hormone shots, everything, and just kept failing and failing. These are cases that had failed 7 times. I mean,
Wow.
and so
Jeez.
out of I've had 4 in the past 3 years of the most profound cases, and the 4 have male children finally.
Oh,
And
okay.
so what I discovered is that with each one of these women, whether it was this life or past lives, they had been hurt so profoundly by the male and the males of the world and past life males, that they were not able to say okay to the male energy that was coming in.
And receive for fertility, for birth.
And
Yeah.
once
Wow.
we started to
I
work on
understand.
that level, they actually accepted. And it's happened to me 4 times in a row in the past 3 years. So I just needed to share that for some reason with you guys, because that's been I've never heard of that before.
No, it's amazing. This is sort of, to me, I connect in a magnetism with that energy as a doula, and understanding how important it is to really influence and inspire the father, the partner, to understand that he has such an incredible opportunity to help mom birth. Because oftentimes in birth, they want to induce, and they want to induce with Pitocin, which is a synthetic form of oxytocin. And so my greatest share with families is to help them understand that dad, who was the energy that helped create this child, has the power of helping mom naturally produce high levels of oxytocin simply by showing her love and affection during labor. A
Emotional
brush of the
security.
arm, a
Yeah,
touch,
cool.
a look in the eye, all of those, to touch her heart, to hold her hips. And to, I have them dance a lot in labor, and oftentimes I'll start this energy, and then I'll go and I'll pull daddy in, and I'll put him in that space, and I'll just say, love her.
Mhm.
Your love is what's going to drop all of that oxytocin, and it's going to strengthen her contractions, which will help her open. And that power of the surge helps
So
the body
bitchin'.
open, so you get so bitchin', right? So
So
what you're
bitchin'.
saying is so awesome, because I do believe that conscious fertility is so available for all of us. And if we really understand how to heal both the feminine and male energies within us, that right and left side,
Mhm.
how that can help co-create these beautiful miracles differently with a different energy, but then provide that space as they grow, so that we're not, taking our fears and sending it right to the womb,
Yeah.
right? And creating that
Very cool.
fear-based
Very
pregnancy.
cool.
Mhm.
Yes.
So
Ale-
I think it's awesome what you're saying.
Alessandra, I have a couple little similar stories, but this one I love working on them when they're pregnant. Oh my gosh! And you can talk to the baby spirit, and the baby
Mhm.
spirit
Yes,
guides come in.
yes.
And this lady, she was like 2 weeks overdue, and she's like really quiet mama, and then she finally talks to me through the bushes. She's like, "Is there anything you can do?" So she came, and so she
Love
finally,
that.
finally let me work on her, and I worked on her, and the little baby inside was saying, and out of all the past life stories I've seen, everyone wants to be somebody famous, right? But nobody ever is. But this little baby he was saying, "I'm
He was
Marco."
Elvis.
What?
He was Elvis.
He's like, "I'm Marco Aurelio, or Marcos Aurelios,"
Oh
and I didn't know
no.
that name.
Marcos
But what
Aurelio.
he was telling me was, I don't want to be a warrior this time. I don't want to fight. They're
Oh,
going to want me to
wow.
fight. They're going to want me to play sports. They want me to fight and be a warrior. And I'm not going to be a warrior this time. And that was the
Wow.
biggest message that
Just
came
got the
through.
chills.
I got goosebumps again. That as a
Wow.
boy, and so I looked up the name. I usually don't look up names because I'd rather just get the information. But yeah, Marcus Aurelius.
Mhm.
If
Mhm.
you know, that was
Rome.
now enough.
Well,
Rome.
and that baby must have been feeling that energy.
Can you
I mean,
imagine that
it's,
And
Rome
then
factor?
and then that guy,
yeah.
they rent out their house next door, so I don't see them anymore. But I saw him a couple months ago, and I'm like, "How's your kids doing?" And because I haven't got to see them in a long time, and he just went on and on about his daughter and all these great things the daughter's doing and being an actress, but he wouldn't
Right.
say anything about the little boy, and I was always worried about the little boy. And I'm like, "Well, how's he doing?" And he goes, "Well, he just kind of sits in the corner and does things." I'm just like, "Oh, bring him to me."
Wow.
But the masculine feminine thing, yeah, it's really definitely
It's
It really is.
really, yeah. It's my little cousin was just in visiting, and I knew to give him crystals. And so I went and, picked out a few for him. And um, these littles that are coming into our world, they're crystals. They have the crystals in them.
rainbow.
So
Yeah.
they're born in attunement. Would you not agree? Yeah. And
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And like even
yeah,
the autistic kids, I feel like they're just a couple,
even
you
more.
know,
Absolutely.
1,000
They have
years ahead.
multiple crystals in them. And
Yeah.
that's why some of our are muting out, because their energies are more defined from an internal realm and a higher dimension that we are in physically as humans.
Yeah.
And so when I spoke with my little guy, I gave him, the crystals, and really, they were, one of them were the magnets, the hematite magnets.
Yeah, those are good.
And
Still ground
and I
them.
As it's very sad. I said, this is going to, when I put him in his hand, and I said, can you feel the weight of this? And he looked at me, and it was the first time that anyone was ever speaking to him with this language. And I went for it, and he fully understood. And then I gave him an amethyst.
To
And
go
I
the other
said,
way.
now,
Yeah.
yes. I said, so now what do you feel? And and I said, so I want you to play with these energies, because one's going to help your mind go up and open. And then when your mind is too much and you need to come back in, you
Yeah.
have these magnets to hone you in and bring you in. So the whole time he was here, being outside of his home and traveling, he really wanted those magnets in
And
his
then
hand.
it's
And they were
tactile.
great,
Yeah, they like that tactile. Yeah.
great fidgets. Yes, Mama
Yes.
Bear, yes. And so when he left, I got a message, and Mom says he can't find his amethyst.
Oh.
So, right. And so he was, you know, and I just
Needs the magnets,
give
not
our kids, yeah, we don't give the kids of this generation enough credit for
Yeah.
the crystals that they're born in tune with.
They love them.
And
It's the easiest way to get through. Yeah. And they love them. Yeah.
say that again, Debbie, say that again.
Sorry, I'm jumping in.
No,
It's just
say that
it's
again.
the easiest way to get through to them. Because they pick them
Easiest
up
way to
and
get
they
through.
feel instantly, you know, and they don't have to be taught anything about them. They
No.
already know. I've done classes in elementary schools, and the kids know all the names already. You know,
They
I'm trying to
know.
teach grown-ups. They're
They're
like, I
so
don't remember.
smart.
Yeah, they're
Yes.
just like, oh, that's an amethyst. Oh, that's hematite. Oh, and they know them already. Yeah, it's gorgeous.
And Alessandra, you work with a lot of old souls, so you know that not everyone has this ready, available attunement. You have to teach this craft and tap them in to the powers and unhook their blocks, right? And so what I'm experiencing is the beauty. I really feel a calling, especially, and maybe it's the doula in me, but I really feel a calling to these littles and attuning moms that are birthing these littles right now, because we're bringing light workers into our world at massive rate. And I think this year that we just came off of is going to birth. I think we're going to leave the crystal phase and birth something new from this last year, which I can't wait to find out about. But have any of you had any messages on what's going to come through in our new birthing moms?
Well, yeah, I feel like the human has us as humans on the whole planet, because we all went through one thing right at the same time. So it's a huge evolvement. We're all like
We have
evolving.
those trauma bonds.
We pulled back all the BS, and now we're going for more as intuitives and creatives, and change all these things that we're not working as for us and the planet, and not healing the planet. Where I think they're all the little women walking around with their dogs and their pregnancies, and now they got strollers. So yeah, I think we're having a mass birth here in a really good way, but they're very, very advanced. And instead of saying they have problems and they need to be on medication, we're going to listen to them, and they're going to be, because a lot of times, like the little boy I was just talking about, he's going to be the evolved one in the whole family, but he probably won't be able to share it. Yeah, so we just need to listen to those babies, and what are these gorgeous things they're showing us? Just make a calm spot for them, turn all Wi-Fi down or off, and let them just open up. Yeah.
Or off. When I started teaching about, I'd say 2009, because I started to understand that we were going to go through this bridge of evolution, and there was going to be a colander. So the way I would see it is that we were going to go through this colander, and everything, the colander would peel back, exactly what you said, that would peel back all of the lower vibrations that cannot survive in this higher vibration. But in order to do that, we all needed to be activated, because our human codes needed to be higher, in higher resonance. So we're all being activated, and that's causing a mosh posh of things and the conditioning of human beings. So I kept telling everyone, look, if you have a hologram in the fifth dimension across this bridge, if you can see your best self, what I call queens and kings, if you can see your royalty
together,
and you can see it, then follow it, because that's how you're going to get through. And in order to cross this bridge, we are all being peeled and peeled and peeled. And the more we think we know, the more it's going to peel, because it's elevating us. And not everyone, and I kept saying years ago, not everyone will choose to cross this bridge.
No. Right.
So,
2012, right? I think 2012, a lot of this really started. Yeah.
And now people, I talked about this so long ago, and over and over and over, and I didn't even understand it really well, what was going to happen. And when my change came in 2017, I realized, okay, this is me being peeled away from everything I thought was real, and my goodness gracious, thank God I'm lighter. So I can go to my hologram and I can see
Yeah.
her.
Yep. And wear
And
it.
Well, and in that hologram, you look at all those different sides that are all turning and shifting,
Mhm.
and they're turning and shifting alongside of other holograms.
Absolutely.
And that's why I always, really try to encourage people to stay in their alignment.
Mhm.
Because when you leave your alignment and you abandon your stability to go into someone else's light, you're gonna
You're
get
leaving your
you're gonna
codes, leaving
project,
your own.
I get big
deflect, and push
headaches.
it
Yeah, I
right
get
back,
big
and you're
headaches.
gonna be a
Yeah.
mess. And so if we all can really understand how profound it is to take our own shifts in that space of evolution, and in through that beautiful inspired alignment, boy, it makes it a lot easier for all of us.
It's going to be a lot easier.
Especially those that are around you.
And even in learning to live life in an easier, simpler mode,
Yeah.
it takes many steps of this conscious maturity, because we are in that survival mode, and the brain is constantly saying, hey, 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 watch out, something's going to happen. So to
Fight or
really
flight.
go and away in higher mind, away from that lower primitive brain, it takes an everyday conscious of staying in what I call the ZZ, Zen zone in your brain, ZZ,
Yep.
conscious
ZZ what?
choice to be calm. Huh?
What'd you say ZZ was?
Zen zone. So I
Zen
keep saying ZZ, but it's a mental thing. It's like, it's not here and it's not here. It's here.
Right
Well,
there.
and that's exactly where we hope that mom becomes when she's birthing, so that there isn't that fear closing her,
Yeah.
and that there is that faith and trust opening her, so that she realizes that it's not her, it's just the light and the energy of consciousness and awakening moments that is opening so that she can birth. And how profound is that when we realize that, not only in those birthing moments of letting that baby come through, but in all of our moments as a mother, the more we are in that ZZ zone, right? That Zen zone of co-creating with our children and staying open to let things facilitate and let faith lead. Our children, I feel, sort of draw in closer and want to be with us more.
Mm-hmm.
But we have such a great opportunity to gift them with the massive attunements and the abundance that is theirs, just waiting. It's a beautiful experience. That birthing love from a mother's heart and a mother's energetic space, that golden heart. It's forever. It's such a blessing to know that these souls chose us.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Love it. I love this group because it makes you feel it makes me feel mothered in a way. Like I feel,
Absolutely.
oh, Debbie's and Joanna's energy, Trina's. Like, oh, it's
Yes.
like embrace.
We're the Mother Earth energy
100%.
is so beautiful, and we are always birthing something. We are always changing and growing, and like it or not, we are always devastating and destroying something, so that why we have that space and time to create and birth more. And that is a perfect opportunity for us to just share a blessing for ourselves and each other, and to create some intention and energy that we can birth and expel to other moms near and far of our world. And create that radiance that sheds light from our souls and heals for the collective consciousness. So let's take a deep breath in, and something tells me that it's best to share this space with each of you. So rather than me take the end to the end, I would love to share that with each of you and maybe just open the circle up to each one of you to say a little bit as we bless this space and pray for all moms of our world in celebration of Mother's Day. So, Alessandra, would you like to start by lifting the hook and opening us up?
Yes, so everyone, please receive the ray of celebration for your womanhood, for the motherhood, for all that you have given to this practice of unconditional love in your hearts for your children and those you care for. So let's receive. What we're receiving in this group is the pink and violet ray, forgiveness and transmutation, self-love and self-appreciation. So just moving this energy straight into the heart chakra and hold. So begin now, inhale. Hold, put yourself in the middle of the circle and send the ray to your own heart. And one more breath, inhale that violet and pink light into the heart chakra. Hold it there and embrace each other.
Mm.
And obviously, we give it to the world. One more breath, pink and violet light, all the women in the world. And the men that are also single parents. Exhale. And that is my turn. Thanks.
Debbie, take it from there.
All right. And I'd like to take that heart chakra and bless it in the middle with a Christ consciousness golden yellow tryphane and Oregon agate golden yellow go into that heart, into the middle of your heart and radiate out like a sun rays out through your whole surrounding auric field that bathes you with like honey, sunshine, warmth, radiates all around your body that just seals in that mama love that you can get from the earth, but from the sunshine at the same second. I like to call it the Christ consciousness because it's a higher vibe where you're normally at, but you can bring that vibration up higher all the time. That ZZ you were talking about, to keep that high vibration in your heart as you're walking around. There's those couple rocks but they're golden. So go towards any yellow rocks you have, even if you find yellow crystals or rocks on the ground on the beach. Carry those and remind you, or even wear yellow to feel that golden Christ consciousness to keep your vibration up. So that gives you more strength. It gives you more, stamina, endurance, tenacity as a mama, as we lead and guide everyone, whether you are a mama or not. You still have people that you mama, that you mother and take care of, and that you can refuel yourself with that Christ consciousness. And that's my bit for today.
My sweet Trina.
And as you look into your inner self, don't be afraid of that intuition and that connectiveness. Let it guide you and lead you. Be open to receive as much as you give. And thank you for all the many blessings that you are about to receive. And that's all I have.
Let us ground into the earth, our beautiful Mother Earth, and let her hold us in the highest at this time. May we receive all that is needed for cleansing, clearing, and healing to the highest power and truth that we are ready for now. Breathing into this moment and allowing the collective energy that inspires us to heal us, to uplift us, and to hold us in the light. Allowing this beautiful white light to permeate every bit of our being and ground us into the loving arms of Mother Earth. Let us take a deep breath in. Slowly exhale, opening our eyes into this moment. Ooh, look at that gorgeous light. Isn't that the coolest energy ever? Woo! You know, I always just say
So good.
there is nothing that can get me higher than the light. And there is nothing that can take me higher than being in the presence of my beautiful goddesses that are light workers, that are praying and healing and loving our world day in and day out.
Yeah, whether our mamas are
I look
here,
at each and
sorry,
that's right.
whether our mamas
No,
are here or not, you know, if they've stepped away like mine has, and then you can step back a little bit, and then your baby goddesses fill in those little spaces of your kids, and it's that balance, you know. So instead of feeling so much loss, but to step back a little bit and let your kids step up a little more, it does eventually balance out, and it's pretty satisfying. That's what I was picturing when
that is really beautiful. That is really, really beautiful.
Oh,
You know,
yes.
as I look at each and every one of you women, I must say thank you.
Thank you, Joanna.
You have all just,
Aw. We love
You
you,
are
Joanna.
all
You are
part of
all
me.
love, man. You are
you are
all
all
love.
part of me, and each of you have unhooked and inspired and helped me heal and grow and attune to this place that I radiate from today.
Yeah.
It is because of and with you I am. So I celebrate you and you
Oh,
and you. And that
It's
is what we call Mama Bear love.
yes.
Mama Bear love.
It's felt
So
right here.
thank
Can
you
feel it.
so very much for taking the time to show up with me and for this energy of the mamas in our world, and to present your Mother Earth energy and to radiate that so that we can all collectively, ooh,
I know, right? Awesome. Yay!
heal and uplift and shine. Thank you so much for speaking easy with me and with love.
It was beautiful. Thank you so much for the invitation and holding this, because that's a very powerful place of love, you know? So,
Indeed
thank
it
you.
is. Indeed it is. We wish you all a very blessed and beautiful day. And I hope that each and every woman out there that is birthing love feels the power and the excellence and the beauty that Mother Earth beholds within your heart.
Yes.
May peace be with each of you. Mwah!
And with you, lovely.
Thank you for speaking easy with love.
Please.
Ladies, please stay tight after we end this live. Okay?
Okay.
Stay with me.